Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Play on GAA. My name is Seamus Brady. I have Luke Payton here with me, and I have Matt Hurley, known as GAA Statsman, with us again. If you haven't seen our ranking video on Division 1, go check it out. This is the Division 2 version. We're going to give every team in Division 2 a grade, talk about the positives and negatives that they can take from the Allianz League campaign of 2022. Luke, I'll come to you for the first team. We have Clare. Bit of a weird campaign. They started off really promisingly, a couple of wins, and I feel like the Cork game was one that they definitely left behind them. I mean, you think about Darren O'Neill dropping the ball into the goal there over the keeper's head, and they never really recovered from, they never really regained the momentum, should I say. And bit of a meh campaign really from Clare.
Yeah, I suppose. But look, the big thing for them is that this is the seventh year in a row in Division Two, and for a team that kind of has consistently not really well, they've been unlucky in that they're drawn in a province kind of where they're coming up against the big boys kind of every year and stuff, and they face these challenges every year, and that they usually have to play Kerry very early and everything as well. For them to be staying at Division Two every year and to kind of like, they were never really in relegation trouble this year. There was never any doubt that they were going to go down. They started really well, and look, they didn't kind of finish as strongly as they would have wanted, but they were genuinely in contention for promotion after, I'd say, about halfway through the league here, and that they were looking like that there was a real possibility that if they maintained their form, they could have pushed Roscommon and Galway for the thing. And look, ultimately, I think it has to be noted that they are probably just that level behind. You look at the quality of Roscommon and Galway, and even Derry kind of in third place as well. That you look at Clare's 15 and their panel as well, it's just not as good as those teams. So I think they're overachieving every year, kind of that you look at some of the players that they're very, very good players, but it's just not the same level of quality as the two teams that went up this year. So I think, look, every year that they stay up, I think, in Division 2 and are competing at the right end of the table, I think it's a positive year for them as well. You're getting some good young players through as well. Like, you look at Downs, Emmett McMahon as well, that they're finding like about 2 or 3 lads every year as well. So I'd be positive. I'd be giving them a B for this year.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Matt, I'll come to you for your county next, Cork. A bit of a strange campaign, some terrible performances from Cork, and then some good performances towards the end. New players coming through, the likes of Blake Murphy. Colm O'Callaghan is really kind of stamping his authority on the side now, and Stephen Sherlock had some great performances in there too, but there were some bad performances as well. How do you make it of it now, really, at the end of the campaign?
Look, if you were to ask me about the middle of the campaign, I'd probably say outright F for Cork. But towards the end of the league campaign, look, very good wins over Dowd and Offaly. We survived. That was the main thing. And when you look at the players' reaction after the Offaly game, it shows where we're at the moment. Surviving in Division 2 is the main aim for us. But I suppose, yeah, as you mentioned there, we did find some new players. Colm O'Callaghan, I think, is the perfect partner beside Ian Maguire. We kind of struggled to find a position for Colm in the years gone by. Like, centre forward wasn't his position, wing forward definitely wasn't. So we pushed him out to midfield, and he's done very well there, in fairness to him, beside Ian. Stephen Sherlock, it's interesting to start with him actually, because only Ryan O'Donoghue and David Clifford have scored more than him in the top 2 divisions. So he's been an absolute fire. And let's not forget, he's played 5 games in the league, 136, 113 for play. Like, the guy's absolutely on fire for the Bars and for Cork. He's definitely a breath of fresh air. We do have Cathal O'Mahony as well, who scored an outstanding goal against Offaly. Blake Murphy. I think it's time, though, we need to know what Brian Hurley's place is, though. Like, at times, he was outstanding, don't get me wrong. But at times, like, he was bringing down the younger players a small bit. Like, Blake Murphy didn't perform when he was on the pitch. Stephen Sherlock, one of them as well. Cathal O'Mahony. So maybe we're better off bringing Brian Hurley on as an impact sub. John O'Rourke did very well in fairness to him. But the problem is defensively. We're actually all over the place when you look at us. Kevin Vlahovic at full back is never going to work. He's too small. We're hoping Boris Shadley will be back for the Kerry game. But we have our number 3 and our number 6 usually missing out for the championship the rest of the year. Daniel O'Mahony is a college course, and Sean Meehan's injured. You see him in the cast during the week. So, look, it's not looking good in the defensive side. And when we're playing Kerry now, we give Kerry an A, obviously. Once Kerry come down, well, I hope it's in Park you're in. But once they come down the Parky Ring, they're going to give us a huge thanking. But I suppose, looking at the Kerry game, all we want is a performance. To be competitive with Kerry for 70 minutes or even 60 minutes, try be competitive with them, go in with a bit of positivity. No, we're not in the Tailteann Cup, that's a positive. We'll go into the qualifiers, and who knows, 2 games away from Croke Park. Look, it's not inconceivable task that we make it, but at the same time, we need to improve drastically from this league campaign. But overall, I'd probably give us maybe a D just for staying in the division ultimately.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that because, I mean, at the same time, Cork lost the likes of Luke Connolly, Mark Collins, all these lads missing. I mean, that's going to be a big blow to Cork. Ricken in his first year in charge. I think realistically, in hindsight, it was probably fair enough to expect that there would be some bumps in the road. But the fact that they've stayed up in Division 2, I think, is a bit of a positive. Luke, I'll come to you now for Derry. Me and you tipped Derry to go up with Galway. I think if you're to look at the Roscommon game, the one key moment was Brian Stack dragging Shane McGuigan to the ground, and then the two of them being, sent off. I mean, that just suits Brian Stack down to the ground, and they get that free right at the end that McGuigan would usually take, and you would have kind of put money on him to score it. It falls to Emmett Bradley to take it. Bradley puts it wide. They draw against Roscommon. Then Roscommon go and beat Galway, and then the two of them go up. Do you think that Derry are more kind of hard done by, or do you think they should have won that Roscommon game?
Yeah, look, it's not one because look, if Shane McGuigan stays on the pitch, he kicks that free, and they probably look they're going up. So it is a hard one as well though. But then the issue I'd have is that look, when they played Galway without McGuigan, they they were beating all hands up in that game as well. That look, Galway just ran goals in on top of them, which was a weird one considering that Derry just don't ship goals really as well. Look, I think overall positive. I think it's a really positive league for them. I'd give a B plus. I think for them in that they're continuing their evolution as a team. They're continuing to get better and better. And you know what? I think it's actually a blessing in disguise in that I think they'll go up next year, and that I know they'll have Dublin to contend with as well. But they'll be between them and Kildare will go toe to toe, and I'd have them slightly favourites over Kildare to go up next year. And I think you know what, that this team probably needs another year, I think, before they're ready to go up to Division 1 anyway as well. So look, I think it's actually kind of nearly perfect for them in that they had a really, really competitive league campaign. They continue playing really, really well. They put kind of big results in. Roscommon are a really top side, and that they're the Division 2 winners. And look, Derry are coming out of that game knowing they should have won it probably. So I think it's a really positive league, and that I don't think the failure to get promotion is really the end of the world at all. So I'd be going B plus for them, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And this time next year, of course, they could have another injection in the arm. You saw the boost that they got when Conor Glass came back. They've got the likes of Anton Tohill, who might come back. They got the likes of Callum Brown, who might come back. Lachlan Murray is a forward as well, who looked really impressive in the last few games. I can't wait to see what stage he's at next year. So yeah, I think B plus is definitely fair for Derry because stripping away everything, they're a team that got promoted from Division 3 who looked like they were going to get promoted from Division 2. That's very impressive. Division 2 is a shark tank in terms of like, you never really know how it's going to go usually. So yeah, B plus for me is fair. I don't think the next team will be getting a B plus. That's Down. I'll come to you for this, Matt. Just a bit of an awful campaign for Down.
Yeah, absolutely terrible campaign. I watched them in Páirc Uí Chaoimh against Cork, and they were absolutely all over the place. I know they had more shots than Cork that day, but they're shooting like you'd expect them to be a lot better considering the under 20s they've done so well. Kilcoo have won the All Irelands. Like, what is happening in Down? And you could honestly see the writing on the wall when the four managers, Laverty, Clark, I think Pete McGrath and Jim McGuinness all rejected Down at the start of the year. Like, you would see the writing on the wall in that sense. It's an undoubted F for them. It's not to be debated. Look, it's a terrible campaign for them. There's a few nice players there. Finn McElroy, fullback's a good player. Pat Haffern at full forward, but like, you have to question, where are these Down players going? Where's the tactical nose in this team? And when you look at Division 3 next year, the competitive teams in there, Cavan and Tipperary joined the fray. I wouldn't be surprised if Down went out to Division 4 next season. Like, it could go that far. they look a very, very poor team at the moment. They look a lack of ideas, lack of imagination. James McCartan doesn't know what he's doing in the sideline. It's desperate times for Down at the moment, and it could get even worse once it comes to the Monaghan game at the Ulster Championship.
Yeah, and it definitely doesn't look inconceivable that they could go down to Division 4 when you consider that Cavan and Tip did exactly that. As well as that, I mean, what was it, 74 or 84 players that Down have used in the last few years? That's absolutely crazy. How can you build a team? How can you build a philosophy, a message, or a system when you burn through that many players?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a very bad situation. And as I said, like use the Kilcoo players or use the under-20 players. There's your solution. Like, why are you using players from the fringes and all that? Maybe the fact that Kilcoo players don't want to play for Down, that's maybe a sign that things are wrong in the camp. And some of the under-20 players are actually rather than playing under-20 football this season, despite going out to Tyrone early. It was a close game in fairness to them. Tyrone seem a good side this year, but yeah, that just shows you, like, there's players over the last few years that just don't want to play for Down, and that's a very sad sight because they were all Ireland finalists in 2010, and to go down so far down so quickly, I mean, it's a shame for the whole county in general, and I suppose they have to be pinned their hopes on Kilcoo doing well again next year.
Yeah. So yeah, I would agree. F for me for Down. I mean, they didn't win a game. Can't really argue with that. Moving on to the next side, Luke, Galway. Obviously, everyone's tip to win Division 2. They just look like they were levels above everyone else in their first few games. I mean, you look at what they did to Meath in the first game, but then they don't win the league final. And do you think that really that there'll be an element in Galway that would be a little bit disappointed that they haven't gone up to Division 1 as champions of Division 2? Or do you think that like they won't really care about that stuff?
I don't think it's the end of the world. They didn't go up as champions. Like, I do think, look, watching that game, that it was an end-to-end game, and that it could have went either way. Look, the goal goes in and the goal wins the game, I suppose, for Roscommon. Whoever's going to get that goal is going to win the game. Like, I do think the bigger worry, I think, for Galway is the defence, and that, like, I think they'll be more concerned about that than not winning the league final. I think that you look, even the games against Cork as well, like, they put up huge tallies as well, but look, they conceded an awful lot as well. And that this just kind of is a team, like, even the league final, 120 to concede is an absolutely huge tally in the final, and that you just can't expect to go into winning games when you're conceding a goal and 20 points. So I think they won't be too concerned about, look, not winning the division. They'll know that Roscommon are a good side and everything as well, and that, look, they'll have Shane Walsh back starting the next day, but I think they'll be really concerned about the defence, and they know that, look, with this style of play that they're playing, where they're trying to outscore the opposition, the defence has to just be better than it is, and that, like, if you're going to play that way, you need to be meaner at the back. You need to not be shipping goals, and they are shipping goals. So I think on the basis of that, look, they did everything they had to do. They went straight back up from Division 1. They blooded a few good young players like Jack Lynn, Sean Fitzgerald. A lot of the good young talent came through as well. But I think that's the big concern, I think, is the defence. So I'd be kind of going high B, I think, for Galway, in that they did what they had to do. They got young fellas through, but there was a few worries created in that they conceded so much against teams which won't have the same attacking prowess as, look, when they go to face the likes of Kerry and Dublin or Tyrone, Mayo, these kind of teams.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you've said, and I think the Mayo clash will really be the one where we find out what's up. And I mean, I think if they have really improved, I think the Mayo game will be where they show it. I mean, Owen Gallagher is another find at wing forward that I thought looked really impressive in the opening few games. Shane Walsh, I mean, before his injury, looked like he was, as good as he's ever been. And Tom O'Callaghan getting more minutes into him, I think that's only a positive for Galway. So yeah, B+, I'd be happy enough with that. And then, Matt, coming to you for probably the weirdest out of all the teams in Division 2 for their campaign, Meath. I mean, they started off the league and there was all the whispers about how close Andy McEntee was to losing his job before the season started. Then they had that awful first game against Galway where they didn't score for 45 minutes from play or something. And then they had, what was it, the Roscommon game where McEntee was sent off towards the end of the game. And it all looked to be an absolute mess. And then they pulled it back, got a great win against Cork, got a great win against Clare, and kind of finishing the league campaign with some sort of momentum now.
They did, yeah, and trust Cork to boost the team's momentum. That's what we're for. Yeah, I suppose it was as you said, it was a weird campaign for me there. Yeah, at the start of the league, we were just thinking, is Andy McEntee, has he lost credibility with the players? But looking at the last few games, in fairness to them, they were willing to fight for him. And even the match days 3 and 4 against Offaly and Down, I know they scraped draws in those games, but that showed character. When things were going wrong, they still grounded out results in those games. And I think they only lost to Derry, Roscommon and Galway, who were way ahead of the rest of Division 2. So when you look at it that way, it wasn't really a bad campaign for Meath. I'd probably give him a C, though. Average campaign. You would have even expected me to make a promotion charge, but an average campaign. We didn't expect them to get relegated. We didn't expect them to get promoted, considering what happened with Andy McEntee and the players last season. But I suppose the players will definitely come in next year for Meath, because the underage shanties coming through, the minors, etc., the under-20s, the ladies will definitely give them a big boost as well. I suppose a worrying aspect for Meath is the women's actually get more support now than the men's do. So I that's not necessarily a bad thing. The women's are doing absolutely brilliant, and they're in the league final this Sunday against Donegal. But you wouldn't have seen that in the past with Meath, and that's a quite a big worry. And I suppose the big thing for these Meath players in the next few weeks is to get these players behind the team again by winning in the Leinster Championship quarter final, by getting to a semi-final, maybe getting the lucky draw, and maybe getting to a Leinster final then. And then if you even lose that, you're one game away from Croke Park in the All-Ireland quarter final. So it's not all doom and gloom for Meath, more or less, but the support needs to improve if they're going to gain more confidence, I think. But overall, I'd probably give them a C. I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah, I would definitely say. And one of the positives I would say above anything else is the fact that they finally have settled on a goalkeeper by the looks of things. Harry Hogan looks to be number one now. Since McEntee's come in, there's been a new goalkeeper every few games. So the fact that Hogan not only looks like a solid pair of hands in the goal, but his free taking is just fantastic. I mean, the game against Cork was one where he was kicking the ball over from almost every spot on the pitch. He hit his first 5 frees straight over the bar. So I think that's the biggest positive, that they finally relaxed on him in goal. And then the fact that when Brian Menton and these fellas came back into the side, there was a marked improvement in their performance. So yeah, I would say C for me there is fair enough. Moving on then to the next side, Luke, I'm coming to you for this one. Offaly. I mean, a lot of people would have said at the start of the league campaign that Offaly potentially would have been out of their depth in Division 2, and they did get relegated, but they came mighty close to getting that victory against Cork on the last day. They had a great win against Down. What did you make of their league campaign?
Yeah, look, it was one of these that I've always watched Offaly closely because of they're my second team, family, and everything like that as well. And there's been a lot of excitement with kind of the players coming through there that like the under-20 team from last year. And it was a weird one in that, look, some of these players were called up, but it was just clear as day, really, that, look, they weren't ready, really. And look, Rory Egan was the only player in that team that actually looked kind of up to the task, I suppose, already. They kind of went early on that they were looking to try and get Jack Bryant in early enough, but it's just as clear that, look, he's not ready just yet and stuff like that. And there's still a lot of development from under-20 to kind of the senior level. So what we kind of saw was that, look, the old kind of reliable players, the Anton Sullivans, the two McNamees, Bernard Allen, these players kind of continuously kind of having to step up again and stuff. And so look, I look, they'll be desperately disappointed to not stay up, considering like how it went at the end. That, like, I know there was a lot of outcry over like the Paddy Duncan incident at the end of that game as well. But look, they when it comes down to it at the end, look, they only themselves to blame with that one as well. And being relegated in those circumstances is a bit of a sickener. But look, they look, the rules are there. Everyone should know the rules now at this stage. So yeah, look, they'll be desperately disappointed to go down, and look, they'll probably be a bit disappointed too that those under-20 lads aren't ready yet. So I think what we're going to see this year in the championship will be a will be kind of the same panel that we've seen in the league, and we're just gonna have to wait till next year for the under-20s. The only good, suppose, the thing that came out of it is that when those under-20s start playing next year, they'll be playing in a division lower, and a little kind of the competition won't be quite as fierce, I suppose, as what it was this year. So look, ultimately, because they got relegated, and like it's pretty much the same team that we've seen in previous years, I would probably have to go with maybe a high D for Offaly, because well, look, they did get relegated, they were expected to get relegated, and look, they did in the end, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything that you've said there. Bill Carroll potentially was another one that was a young lad that impressed, particularly in the Cork game. But yeah, I think another year for the likes of Jack Bryant and Cormac Egan maybe to come into the side. And I think Offaly will be a much better team next year. And then, Matt, coming to you for the last team, the champions of Division 2, Roscommon. Now, obviously, the only unbeaten side out of all 4 divisions. Just how good were Roscommon?
They were absolutely superb, both attacking and defensively. I suppose attacking wise, there was a trouble last year, but once Stephen Porter left, they showed their attacking talent. And what impressed me about Roscommon, I've said this in previous podcasts as well, they used to concentrate on one particular player, like whether it was Donny Shine or whether it was Cathal Craig maybe, or whether it was Connor Cox. But this year they have Cox, they have the 2 Smith brothers in Donny and Enda, they've Key McKeown, they've Cathal Heenahan. They've other players step out. Keith Doyle coming off the bench as well. Like, geez, Roscommon has some very good talent coming up through the ranks. And that's a pleasing aspect for Roscommon, definitely. It's undoubtedly, they've been absolutely superb throughout the league games. Only undefeated side. And their goal scoring, their point scoring as well is absolutely superb. And I think out of the last 4 games or something, or last 3 games, I think they've only had 2 or 3 wides. That is incredible statistics right there for Roscommon. And yeah, they're definitely a team at the up. And considering they have an easy Connacht draw, I think they'll get to the final. They'll play Sligo in the semi-finals more than likely. They could win a Connacht title this year. Like Mayo Galway could come out battered and bruised on the other side of the draw. Like Roscommon could easily get to their first semi-final in quite a while. I think it's since the late 80s they've got to a semi-final. So this year is a realistic opportunity that they could get to a semi-final this year. As I said, the attacking talent there, the defensive talent, their midfield as well, playing very well. Brian Stack at full back's been excellent as well for Roscommon. So, geez, they've been brilliant throughout the league campaign, to no doubt today, and they could be the surprise package this year. They could be worth putting a few pounds on.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with everything you've said there. And then the midfield partnership of Ultan Harney and Eddie Nolan for me has been an absolute blessing for them. It's really strengthened up Roscommon, and they've been allowed to fully move Enda Smith into the forwards and not have to kind of put him in midfield to win some ball for them. Luke, a quick word really on the champions from you. How impressed were you by them?
Yeah, I'm the same. I thought they were fantastic, and that yeah, look, it's just really refreshing as well to see a team pick 6 actual forwards as well. Kind of look, Kieran Murta and Colin Heenan playing like on the half forward positions. Like you look at every county now, and they're naming kind of their 2 wing forwards have to be workers. They have to be kind of extra defenders and stuff. And Roscommon are just playing a 6-2-6, and it works for them as well. So look, it's yeah, the wide stat as well is absolutely sensational, really, as well. And you know what, it was a really open game in that league final as well, but they were just a fantastic watching as well. It would be really interesting to watch them go on. I think they have a great chance of winning Connacht this year, and that yeah, like you said, the draw has been kind to them as well. Galway and Mayo are going to be slugging it out, and look, they come out battered. Whoever wins that game will be coming out battered. They could be down players as well coming into it. I think Roscommon are going to be waiting in the long grass for them. So I think, look, absolutely perfect campaign, and just as well, special mention to the fact that they've this is their 3rd league title in the last 5 years, and it's they've gone up every single year, winning the league, gone up to Division 1. Unfortunately, it's gone back down. But look, with the makings of this team as well, I think they've a good chance of staying up next year. You talk about we talked briefly there about Offaly and their young players that they have coming through. It's worth noting that Roscommon team's in the All-Ireland final last year in the under-20s, and they haven't had to rely on a single member of that team, even in the panel, that these lads are given as much time as possible to be developed, that they've created an under-23s development squad in there as well for those players to go on to there, so that they're ready for next year as well. And look at the likes of Derek Craig, McDermott, and full forward. These are as good prospects as you're going to see. So really, really positive signs for Roscommon, and the only way is up for them.
Yeah, I fully agree. So that is the wrap on the Division 2 rankings. I mean, great campaigns and poor campaigns, but yeah, we got there in the end. A grade for each county, positives and negatives on their league campaign in 2022. Matt, thanks for coming on with me and Luke today.
Thanks very much, Seamus. Happy to help as usual.
All right, guys, that is this video here on Play on GA. Make sure you check out the other ranking videos of the league campaign. And until next one, guys, here on Play on GA, take care.